Craig Brain is not your brain or my brain. Love it or hate it or something in between. Welcome to the squishy, alien middle inside of this dude's skull. Take a peek. Take a peek.
Welcome to Craig Brain. This week, I'm talking about one thing that you do better than anybody else. Here's how we got here. I think it was episode 9. Oh, yeah, it was. 9 questions for 5 friends. So I did that exercise. If you haven't listened, go back and listen to episode 9. This would be like part 2 of that. And we didn't put it as episode 10 because it didn't happen right away. And so I'll kind of get in my mind a little bit. I'll get an idea, I'll get a thought, I'll turn it into something, and I'll just start running. And then it's like, oh, I forgot this. Or, oh, yeah, why didn't I think about that? And I'm not saying I've run too fast, but because I'm really a power walker at the gym. I'm not a runner. But I'll just start getting out ahead, and I'm not that perfectionist that needs to like figure it all out. I'll just start going and start charting down that path. It's just kind of how I work. And so for me, everything I told you in episode 9, that's what happened. And so there's a big gap of, oh, that was a cool discovery, but there's a lot of things on those 2 sheets of paper. Like, here's the positives, here's the negatives. I made a ton of changes in my life because of that. Not overnight. Some of them I did. And then others, it was like, oh, let me slowly start to change. Let me slowly start to move into this. One of the things that I did was I started working, and it sounds simple, but for me, I'm a CraigGross.com. It's like I had a blog up there, I had something, and it was just like, hey, you know what? Everything on this website or everything you Google my name, it's about porn. It's about XXX Church. It's about something, in the news that I did. And I just thought, man, well, I don't put out anything else. Like, this is what I'm known for. And so on Craig Gross, I occasionally would do a post or share something or a thought, or on social media. I don't even do that right. So it's just like, I don't care that much about me. But I thought about it. So I thought, hey, these 9 questions kind of help shape some of the work I want to be doing and some of the work I should be doing. And then I need to ultimately tell others that, like, yeah, this is what I'm about these days. So Craig Brain even came out of those 9 questions, those nine things. So I start working on a website. I start working through all this, and then it was just, a lot of what you see today online. But I went back to another question. So my friend and I, Matt, who was working through that same exercise. He goes, hey, I got a new one. That's Matt. That's my impression of Matt. Hey, Craig, I got something new. And he's like, so I tried this today at a meeting, and he's getting all excited. And he's like, I was sitting with a buddy of mine, and I was like, and Matt asked great questions, like really good questions. And so he liked this exercise, but he's like, hey, I was sitting with a friend today, and I said, hey, what do you do better than anybody else? And the guy looked back at him. He's like, oh, I grow businesses. Not a good starter. It's not like, I love the middle ground where it's just like, man, it's got something, and then we just take off from there. Matt's like, oh, it's interesting. Like, you know exactly where in business, like, your actually greatest gifts are. And so Matt's like, don't answer this question right now, Craig, if you can't give me the answer. But what do you do better than anybody else? And I was like, okay. And I started to try and stumble on an answer. And I was like, okay, I got it. I know how to get something started and make it happen better than anyone else. And I was like, Matt, what do you do better? And he's like, oh, yeah, I do. He's like, I do business and relationships better than anyone. I mean, there's guys that are better at one of those things than I am. But together, nobody, has me beat in that. Like, oh, that's cool. Awesome. So then I got off the phone with Matt. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good question. But I was like, I don't know if I like my answer yet. I don't know if I believe my answer. I don't know if other people would. So I learned from that other exercise, like, hey, let me just be super clear. So I got on Voxer to Michelle on her team, to my wife, to a couple other friends that I was like, hey, guys, answer this question. Don't. I'm not asking with business or my dad hat or my marriage hat or my sports hat. Like, out of everything you see me do, what's the best? Because, I didn't want them to say, oh, well, you do this, but it's like, oh, well, it's not about money, not about like my profession. And I remember Michelle, like, she just says, and Michelle, like I said, it's been with me for like 15 years on Fireproof Industries. And she's like, I don't need any time to think about it. It takes me 8 seconds. And she said, you get shit done and make things happen better than anyone I know. I don't agree with the tone that she said it in. I don't agree with the curse words. I wouldn't do any of that. I wouldn't talk like that. Michelle has a foul mouth. She talks like a sailor. Very vulgar in her expressions of words. And for the 15 years I've been working with her, we're trying to control that and help her with that. I think it's had a bad influence on my life. And that's maybe why I talk more like Michelle today. She would say she talks more like me, but somebody else said that exact same phrase. My wife said that exact same phrase, minus the cuss words, because she wouldn't curse. And then I just sat with it like really quickly. Like I didn't need 2 sheets of white paper or 2 things on the screen. It was like, oh, wow. These people said this thing, this concise, and they all said the same thing. Matt, go ask 5 people. And he's like, why? Because I was like, I liked your answer, but like, man, you'll get more clarity and confidence if you get it from a few more people. And so I was like, go. And then he came back the next day and we're like, what did you hear? What did you hear? And then I was like, other people do it. And they're like, why? And I was like, well, because I think you know what you do, but like when you hear it back, you'll get a really dialed in answer. And it's awesome to just sit with. And then ask yourself questions like, do I do this? Do I do this enough? Do I know I'm this good at it? And that's ultimately where we landed on a website. This one's free also. I think the thing I love about a lot of what I get to do is like some things I need to figure out a financial element of, other things I don't. And where it makes sense, we're able to do it. Where it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. It's like this is just free. I have something coming up on the podcast. I'll talk about reclaiming sex. And it was just like, oh, this would just be free to give to people on Valentine's Day. This was just like, oh, this would be free. Like, how do we actually, this would help people. And I'm around a lot of digital marketers and my nose itches. If you're watching this video, don't you be like, I just wish I could just itch it. Yes. Pick it. Yes. I'm around a lot of digital marketers, a lot of stuff for sale. There's courses that are for sale about how to find your, all this stuff. I don't know. You could spend $2,000 on it, or you can go to sitonmygift.com and write what you do better than anyone. And then it asks for 5 email addresses and it sends 5 people that you ask it to that same question and then sends you back a PDF in a sense of everybody's answers. Why? Clarity, confidence. That's how you're going to move. That's how you're going to get off sitting on your gift and actually using your gift. That's fun. So for me, I'm like, okay, Matt and I get together. We spend a couple of days together. We're like, hey, what do we do with this? And we have a bunch of other ideas. Depending on when you're listening to this, I don't know what we've done with it. But right now, it was like, hey, I just want to get a site up because me trying to tell people how to do it and send them on Vox and do this, I just want an easy place to do it and just ship it. Just go to that website and figure it out. And Matt and I wrestled with like, what do we call it? Like, what do we want to do here? We even have gone so far as spending 2 days with somebody to kind of see if we can work through an experiment in their life when you're at that point where you go, I know I'm not in my gifting and I want to be, and how do I get there? And so Matt and I got fired up. I mean, we have all sorts of ideas on that. We've actually experimented with that, and we're actually willing to do that with a few people just because it's like, that's fun for us of like, how do you navigate something new when you know you're not in your kind of sweet spot? And so, I don't know, I bought a bunch of domains. I love when I buy domains and it's like I don't want to say my drug, but like it's my go-to. Oh, just buy that domain. Oh, I got the .com, sweet. And I was like, why did I get the .com? Oh, because you friggin' spelled it wrong. Like, of course that domain is not available. So I bought a couple of domains like that, spelled one wrong. And then on an upcoming episode, you heard about my love for Bon Iver. My son likes this band called Laney. I've been around them, their music quite a bit because of him. And we're at a special event that they did at the Grammy Museum. And it was just like an interview, and they got interviewed about like how a lot of stuff we've heard before. And then they sang some songs. It was pretty awesome. And one of the questions that this guy asked them about was just about their, like how they got started. And Paul, the lead singer, he's just like, look, there's these two guys in Nashville, Les and Jake. They lived together. They made music together. Jake was just a ridiculous drummer. Les was just a ridiculous like music maker, creator. But like, I'm not good enough to like work with those guys. And it was just like, but I wanted to be around them. And so he talks about that. And he said they just had no agenda other than like, let's just make some music. And he was stoked at the opportunity. And then he was trying to be nice. It was super nice and respectful how he said it. And the way he was talking about Jake, like Jake played with everybody in town. Like Jake wouldn't play with me. And he's like, let's be honest, like Les was kind of sitting on his gift. He was working at the post office. And he's like, I knew what he had in him, but he was just working. And I was just started laughing like, wait, at the post office? So literally, as I'm listening to that band go, I'm on GoDaddy, and I bought sittingOnMyGift.com, sitonmygift.com. I bought every iteration of it. I was like, man, I called him the next day. I actually was on my skateboard, electric, on the beach, on the bike path, which I shouldn't have been doing, on the phone, like on a FaceTime with him. And I was like, I got the idea. It's called Sit on My Gift. And it was like this band. And like, how rad would it be if we get, if we get Les to like put on his postal uniform and we shoot that. Like, I don't know if he delivered mail or sorted mail, but I'm like, oh, dude, when you're as smart as that guy is musically and you do that job and then you quit it and now you get to play like, they're on like 100 and like how many city tour, Nolan? Like 142 world tour. You were at the freaking post office sitting on your gift. Like, how many other people haven't even given themselves the opportunity, the space to dream? And it's hard because you're like, I'm crazy. Like, that would never work. Dude, find out if your friends say it would work. And maybe like somebody's like, hey, I don't know. You don't do anything better than anybody I know. All right, keep your day job. I'm not saying this for everybody. I'm not saying like seriously, like, oh, well, these people, I don't know if it doesn't come naturally, if somebody asks you to do this exercise, you're like, hey, let's be honest. Like, yeah, I'm not saying like it's going to come to the top for everybody, but for me, it came to the top. And I was like, why am I doing anything but that? But then in that, I learned a lot about myself because I was like, Carl on our team, he's pretty similar, but like Carl figures stuff out better than anyone I know. That's not what I do better. The end result is a lot the same, but like for me, it starts with the idea and it starts with getting something in motion, and it starts with a laser focus on the end goal in shipping that product. That's all I care about. Like read Poke the Box, Seth Godin. Like it doesn't count till it ships. And so that's why it's like, no, this is going to come out. Like I'm going to make this happen. And, but I hate the weeds. I hate the grind. I hate the babysitting. I hate the contract work. I hate a lot of things that are needed to do. I hate figuring that out. I hate reading the instructions. I hate the wait time. I hate the money spent. Like Carl, like, no, I like some of that. So you get laser focused on like what I do that only I can do, that you could do this, but you can't do that. Then I need to be working in that space, not in the weeds on all this other stuff. And you start to back up. You start to say no. You start to tell, people you work with, hey, you know what? I used to do this, but I found that office that I made in my bathroom that sits on my, I converted that bathroom. I don't want to be in it. It's not where I make stuff happen. It's where I get in the weeds on stuff that I make happen. It's where I sit, where I haven't delegated or brought a number of people around me to do that. That's not where the magic happens. That's like the grind. And for me, the grind of that isn't what I do best. And so it's helped me go, man, what do I need to do? Like, I don't need to be in the office. Like, that's not where I want to be. One of the rules I'm trying it. If I can't do it on my iPad, that's in front of me, I shouldn't do it. Because I'm dangerous. Like, I learned WordPress. I learned FTP. I learned back end, front end. Pretty much anything online I can do. Not great, all of those, except for design. I think I have a great eye for it. Like, our stuff doesn't, like, none of the stuff that we put out looks like garbage. Which, on the side note, these like marketers that I'm around a lot, they actually A/B test good design versus bad design. And oftentimes bad design wins out. And so I've thought about it, like, what about if we just made our stuff look ugly? Like, it'd probably sell a lot more and be a lot more places. And the fact that, like, a lot of these marketers even test that. So I don't know how to design. I don't have that creative, like, so I've never touched that, but other stuff out of my impatience, I'm like, I'll learn WordPress, I'll learn this, I'll learn that. And so I have a vast knowledge of stuff, but I'm like, oh, I hate that, I hate that, I hate that. I don't know. It's not the fun part, but I get focused on it because I was like, oh, I want to actually produce this thing that this is where it all started. So I'll pick up those things. And all that to say is, like, I got so much clarity out of just like, dude, I need to do this thing. And if you think you can do 20 things better than anyone else, no, you probably can't. Like, I can do 20 things, but it doesn't mean I could probably do one thing better than anybody and then find 19 people that can do something better than anybody and involve them. And so we do. The way I move a lot in our business and ministry is, like, I hire one person to do these things that they're really good at those things. Because, well, I can do it all. I'm an agency that I can do everything. Like, even the company I started, Better and Better, like, hey, we find you one person to do this and another person to do that. We find you, no one, if they tell you they can do copywriting, they can do back end, front end, they can do, no, they can't. And so what can you do better than anybody else? What are you sitting on that you go, I don't know if that will ever ship. I don't know if I believe in myself enough to do it. For me, it's fun. It's fun to sit in it. It's fun to sit and go, wow, thanks, friends. Like, thanks for seeing that in me and believing that. And then it's not as scary either when you're like, wow, like, walk in that. It's funny because, like I said before, I'll often head down a road and I'll go, oh, yeah, this is it now. And then it's like, oh, no, but there's more. So episode 9 was about 9 questions. Episode whatever we're on right now is about, like, no, now let's focus it in on one thing. And then I kind of went back and reworked some of the stuff on my website. I'm like, no, okay, here's what I'm all kind of about. And I came up with this, like, fancy, like, I don't know, a mission statement, but it was like on my website. It actually, I wrote these things. I create things that matter, and I help others create products and internet-based ideas. Like, really succinctly. And it was like, oh, yeah, that's me. And then I left it. And on a future episode, I'll tell you the one thing that I was missing was those might be things that I do really well, but it might not be the thing I really do want to do. And so what happens if, like, you're in that dilemma? I don't know his name, Kyle, whatever. What is it, Fuller, guys? The Oklahoma, the quarterback guy? The football. Kyle Murray. Yeah. I don't watch college football. I don't care until they're in the NFL. But the guy, could play baseball. He could play football. All the speculation on, is he going to enter this? He would play baseball if he got paid, but he would play football. And ultimately, what I know about my friends that play professional sports, like, they're competitive. You can go play baseball and be one guy on a team, or you can go be a football player and be the quarterback and be the star. Dude, that's going to bang up your body more. That's going to, like, beat you up way more. Like, money, shorter career. But ultimately, it's like, what does he want? Like, well, it doesn't matter what we want. Well, you should play baseball because it's safer. And you can just chew gum out there and just stand and get out of shape. Like, that's baseball. Or you could play football. What does he want to do? That's what matters. And so for me, I don't know. When are we going to talk about that? I think, heck, next episode. I'll talk about the one line that I added in front of that on my website that I think this experiment didn't teach me, but I came back to and went, no, that's actually maybe more important. So I'll tease you with that. I'll be back next week to talk about that. Thanks for watching, listening, wherever you do. That's all I got. sitonmygift.com. sitonmygift.com. It's free. Share those in your Facebook group. I mean, if it'd be cool, or send it to me, like on social, tag it. It'd be fun to see what you find in that experiment.
Thanks for thinking through Craig Brain. This podcast is only a small summarized part of a larger conversation. To read the full story, check out www.craigbrain.com and follow @Craig Gross on whatever social suits your fancy.